It was just another ordinary day at St. Regis Academy, a prestigious private school known for its polished halls and wealthy students. The campus buzzed with the usual chatter of teenagers dressed in spotless uniforms, their voices echoing off marble floors. In one corner of the main building stood an elegant black piano, a grand instrument that gleamed under the soft glow of chandeliers. It was rarely played, mostly admired as a symbol of luxury. Amidst this world of privilege wandered Maya, a new student who had joined the school only weeks ago. Unlike her classmates, Maya came from a modest background. Her parents worked long hours to afford her education here, hopeful that it would open doors for her future. Though she didn't have designer clothes or expensive gadgets like many of her peers, Maya carried something far more valuable: a quiet confidence and a love for music. That afternoon, after classes ended, Maya found herself drawn to the piano. She had always loved music. It was her escape, her safe space. Back home, she practiced on an old keyboard with sticky keys, teaching herself songs by ear. But this piano was different. It looked majestic, almost magical. As she walked closer, her heart raced. Could she dare touch it? The room around her seemed empty enough. Most students were outside enjoying the sunny weather. Slowly, hesitantly, Maya reached out her hand and pressed one key. A single note rang out, clear and resonant, filling the silence. For a moment she smiled, feeling the thrill of hearing such a rich sound. But then, laughter broke the quiet. "Hey, look," a boy called out sharply. "What does she think she's doing?" Maya froze, her fingers still hovering over the keys. She turned to see a group of students standing nearby, smirking. At the center was Ethan, a popular boy whose family owned half the businesses in town. He crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow. "This isn't your house," he said mockingly. "You don't just go touching things that don't belong to you." His friends laughed, some rolling their eyes. One girl flipped her hair dramatically and added, "Yeah, maybe she thinks she's some kind of prodigy now." Maya felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to shrink away, to disappear into the floorboards. But instead she pulled her hand back quickly and took a step back. Another voice chimed in, crueler than the rest. "Come on, we all know people like her don't have time for fancy hobbies. They're too busy worrying about other stuff." The words hit hard, cutting deeper than any insult could. People like her? Did they mean because she was poor? Or because she was black? Either way, it stung. Maya clenched her fists, trying to hold back tears. She hated feeling small, powerless. But what could she do? These kids lived in a completely different world, one where money and status mattered more than kindness. Just as Maya prepared to walk away, something inside her shifted. Maybe it was anger, maybe pride, or maybe just the overwhelming urge to prove them wrong. Whatever it was, it gave her courage. Instead of leaving, she sat down on the bench in front of the piano. The laughter stopped briefly as everyone stared at her in confusion. What was she doing? Without saying a word, Maya placed her hands on the keys. Then, with absolute certainty, she began to play. The first notes soared through the air, silencing the entire room. It wasn't just random tinkering, it was a melody, intricate and breathtaking. The piece was fast-paced and technically demanding, yet Maya's fingers moved effortlessly, as if the piano itself was an extension of her body. Each note flowed seamlessly into the next, creating a harmony so beautiful it felt almost otherworldly. The stunned expressions on the students' faces were priceless. Some gawked openly, mouths hanging slightly agape. Others exchanged glances, unsure whether to laugh or applaud. Even Ethan, who had been the loudest critic moments earlier, looked utterly baffled. As the music continued, the atmosphere shifted. There was no more mockery, no more sneers, just awe. The once empty hall began to fill with curious onlookers drawn by the sound. Teachers passing by paused mid-step, captivated. Even the headmaster, Mr. Grayson, stopped to listen, his brow furrowed in astonishment. Maya played with her eyes closed, lost in the music. This was her element. Here, She wasn't the poor girl or the outsider. She was simply Maya, the musician. Every note carried emotion, every chord told a story. And when the final crescendo faded into silence, the room remained still for several seconds. Then, applause erupted. It started softly, hesitant, but quickly grew louder. Students clapped enthusiastically, some cheering loudly. Teachers joined in, nodding approvingly. Even Ethan managed a weak clap, though his face was flushed with embarrassment. When Maya finally opened her eyes, she saw the sea of amazed faces surrounding her. She stood up slowly, bowed politely, and turned to leave without a word. But as she walked away, she couldn't help but smile to herself. For the first time since arriving at St. Regis, she felt truly seen and respected. Word of what happened spread like wildfire. By the next morning, nearly everyone in the school knew about the girl who had silenced a roomful of skeptics with her talent. Some students approached her in the hallway, congratulating her or asking questions about how she learned to play so well. Others apologized for laughing at her expense the day before. Maya handled it all gracefully. She didn't boast or seek attention. She simply accepted their compliments with a polite nod. When someone asked why she hadn't mentioned her musical skills earlier, she shrugged and replied, "Sometimes actions speak louder than words." Her performance caught the attention of the school's music department as well. The head of the program, Mrs. Carter, invited Maya to audition for the advanced ensemble, a rare opportunity usually reserved for students with connections or financial backing. Maya agreed, eager to take on the challenge. On the day of the audition, she arrived early, wearing her usual simple attire. The auditorium was packed with teachers, senior students, and even a few parents. Mrs. Carter greeted her warmly and encouraged her to relax. "Just play what feels right," she said. Maya chose a challenging classical piece, Chopin's Revolutionary Etude. It was fiery, emotional, and required both technical precision and raw passion. As her fingers danced across the keys, the audience forgot to breathe. When she finished, the room erupted into applause once again. Mrs. Carter wiped away a tear and announced, "Welcome to the ensemble, Maya." From that day forward, everything changed for Maya and for those around her. The days following Maya's audition were a whirlwind of change. News of her acceptance into the advanced music ensemble spread quickly, and soon she became the talk of the school. Students who had never paid her much attention before now greeted her with smiles or nods in the hallways. Some even stopped to ask if she would play again during lunch breaks. Teachers began calling her by name, praising her dedication and talent. But not everyone was thrilled about Maya's sudden rise to prominence. A few students, particularly those from wealthy families, whispered behind her back. They questioned whether she truly deserved her spot in the ensemble, or if it was just sympathy that got her there. One girl muttered loud enough for others to hear, "It's not like she has connections or anything. Maybe they just felt bad for her." Maya overheard these comments but chose not to respond. She knew jealousy could be ugly, especially when wrapped in privilege. Instead, she focused on what mattered most: her music. Every free moment she had, she spent practicing in the school's music room, perfecting every note, refining every technique. Her determination inspired some of her classmates, while others grew increasingly envious. One afternoon, as Maya sat at the piano during practice, Ethan, the same boy who had mocked her weeks earlier, walked into the room. He hesitated near the doorway, watching her play. For once, his usual smirk was absent. When she finished the piece, he cleared his throat awkwardly. Can I talk to you for a second?" he asked, rubbing the back of his neck. Maya turned to face him, surprised but composed. "Sure," she said simply. Ethan stepped closer, looking down at his shoes. "Look, I wanted to say, I'm sorry about what happened before. You know, when we laughed at you. It wasn't cool." Maya studied his expression carefully. She could tell he meant it, though his apology came out stiff and uncomfortable. Still, she appreciated the effort. "Thanks for saying that," she replied softly. "Apology accepted." Relief washed over Ethan's face. "And, I wanted to ask, how did you get so good? Like, seriously, where did you learn all that? Maya smiled faintly. I taught myself, she admitted. Back home, I didn't have access to lessons or fancy instruments, so I figured things out on my own. Ethan blinked, clearly impressed. That's insane. I mean, I've been taking lessons since I was 6 and I still mess up half the time. Maya chuckled. Practice makes perfect, right? From that day on, Ethan started treating her differently. He introduced her to his friends, defended her against snide remarks, and even offered to help carry her sheet music to rehearsals. Their unlikely friendship became a symbol of how far Maya had come, from being mocked to earning respect one person at a time. As weeks passed, Maya's presence in the music program began to transform the entire culture of the school. Before her arrival, the program had been exclusive, catering mostly to students whose families donated generously to keep it running. But Maya's inclusion opened doors for others who might not have had the same opportunities otherwise. Inspired by her story, Mrs. Carter decided to create a new initiative, a mentorship program where advanced students could teach younger ones. Maya immediately volunteered to lead workshops for kids who couldn't afford private lessons. She worked tirelessly, teaching them everything she knew: how to read sheet music, how to position their hands, how to find emotion in every note. Her passion was contagious. Soon, other members of the ensemble joined in, helping her organize recitals and performances for the younger students. The once stuffy music department buzzed with energy and collaboration. Even skeptical teachers found themselves won over by Maya's infectious enthusiasm. One evening after rehearsal, Maya stayed late in the music room, working with a shy 7th grader named Lily. Lily had shown promise but lacked confidence, often apologizing for mistakes before anyone noticed them. Maya knelt beside her, gently guiding her fingers across the keys. You don't have to be afraid, Maya told her. Music isn't about perfection. It's about telling your story. Let the notes speak for you. Lily nodded slowly, then played the melody again, this time with more conviction. When she finished, her eyes lit up. Did I do okay? She asked hopefully. You did great, Maya said with a warm smile. Keep going. You'll surprise yourself. Moments like these reminded Maya why she loved music so much. It wasn't just about skill or recognition, it was about connection. Through music, she had found a way to bridge gaps between people, to create understanding where there had been none. Maya's growing influence didn't go unnoticed outside the school walls. Word of her incredible talent reached local media, outlets, and soon reporters came knocking. One journalist wrote an article titled "From Mockery to Mastery: How One Girl Changed a School with Music." The headline caught fire online, sparking conversations about inclusivity, opportunity, and the power of perseverance. Within days, offers poured in. Music schools across the country invited her to apply for scholarships. Renowned composers reached out asking if she'd consider collaborating on projects. Even the mayor sent a handwritten letter congratulating her on her achievements and inviting her to perform at a citywide event. At first, Maya felt overwhelmed by the attention. She wasn't used to being in the spotlight, and the sudden fame made her nervous. But her parents reminded her of something important. You're not just representing yourself anymore, her mother said. You're showing people that dreams are possible no matter where you start. With that thought in mind, Maya embraced the opportunities coming her way. She accepted an invitation to perform at a youth music festival hosted by one of the top conservatories in the region. It was a chance to showcase her talent on a bigger stage and to inspire others like her. On the day of the festival, Maya arrived early, dressed in a simple yet elegant dress borrowed from her best friend. As she waited backstage, she looked around at the other performers. Most were older, more experienced, and came from well-known musical families. But Maya didn't feel intimidated. She reminded herself of the journey that had brought her here, the hours spent practicing on a broken keyboard, the laughter she had endured, the moments of doubt she had overcome. When her turn came, she walked onto the stage to polite applause. The auditorium was packed with parents, teachers, and aspiring musicians. Spotlights illuminated the grand piano waiting for her at center stage. Taking a deep breath, Maya sat down and placed her hands on the keys. She chose a piece close to her heart, Clair de Lune by Debussy. It was delicate, dreamy, and deeply emotional. As she played, the audience fell silent. Each note seemed to float through the air, weaving a tapestry of sound that left listeners spellbound. By the time she reached the final chord, tears glistened in the eyes of many. When the last note faded, the room erupted into applause. People stood cheering loudly. Some whistled, others wiped away tears. Maya rose from the bench, bowed graciously, and stepped off stage, her heart swelling with gratitude. Afterward, a young girl approached her, clutching a notebook filled with scribbled melodies. "Hi," the girl said shyly. "My name is Ava. I want to play like you someday." Maya knelt down to meet her eye level. "You can," she said firmly. "Just believe in yourself, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Ava grinned, clutching her notebook tighter. "Thank you." In that moment, Maya realized her journey wasn't just about personal success. It was about paving the way for others, to show them that no obstacle was too big, no dream too far out of reach. Years later, Maya stood on the grand stage of Carnegie Hall, dressed in a stunning gown, ready to perform for thousands. As she took her seat at the piano, she glanced out at the audience. Among the sea of faces, she spotted familiar ones. Her parents, her teachers, her old classmates from St. Regis Academy. For a brief moment, she remembered the girl who had once been mocked for daring to touch a piano. Now she was celebrated for it, and as her fingers touched the keys, one thing was clear. Maya had turned judgment into joy, mockery into mastery, and dreams into reality. The months following Maya's performance at the Youth Music Festival were transformative, not just for her personally, but for everyone around her. Her name became synonymous with resilience, talent, and breaking barriers. People who had once doubted her now looked up to her as an example of what determination could achieve. However, Maya didn't let the newfound fame go to her head. Instead, she used it as fuel to push herself further. At school, things began to shift dramatically. The once exclusive music program was now buzzing with diversity. Students from all backgrounds wanted to join. Inspired by Maya's story, many shy or underprivileged kids started stepping forward, eager to learn. Mrs. Carter noticed this change and decided to expand the mentorship program Maya had helped create. What began as a small initiative grew into a full-fledged after-school academy, offering free lessons to anyone interested in music. Maya took on a leadership role in the academy, teaching younger students during her free time. She poured her heart into every lesson, sharing not only technical skills but also life lessons about perseverance and self-belief. One day, while working with a group of beginners, she shared a story that resonated deeply with them. "When I first came to this school," Maya began, "I felt like I didn't belong. People judged me based on where I came from, not who I was. But you know what? That didn't stop me. When they laughed at me, I played louder. When they doubted me, I practiced harder. And guess what? Here we are today." Her words inspired the children to dream bigger. Many of them started practicing late into the night, determined to improve. Some even formed their own bands, performing at school events and local community centers. Music became more than just a hobby. It became a movement. But Maya's journey wasn't without challenges. As her popularity grew, so did the pressure to perform perfectly. Every recital, every competition felt like a test of her worth. There were days when she doubted herself, wondering if she truly belonged among the elite musicians she admired. On one such day, after a particularly tough rehearsal, she found herself sitting alone in the music room staring at the piano. Mrs. Carter walked in unexpectedly and saw Maya's troubled expression. "What's wrong?" she asked gently. Maya sighed. "I don't know if I'm good enough. Everyone expects so much from me now. What if I disappoint them?" Mrs. Carter sat beside her and smiled warmly. "Maya, do you remember why you started playing music in the first place?" Maya thought for a moment. "Because it made me happy," she admitted quietly. "Exactly," Mrs. Carter said. "Don't lose sight of that. Talent is important, yes, but passion is what makes music come alive. You have both. Trust yourself. Those words stayed with Maya. From then on, she reminded herself daily why she loved music: to express, to connect, to heal. It wasn't about pleasing others. It was about staying true to herself. As the school year progressed, Maya received another life-changing opportunity. A famous composer named Mr. Langston heard about her through the article written earlier and invited her to collaborate on a new piece he was working on. At first, Maya hesitated. Collaborating with someone of his stature seemed daunting, but Mrs. Carter encouraged her to take the chance. "You've already proven yourself," she said. "This is your next step. Don't be afraid to grow." With that encouragement, Maya agreed to meet Mr. Langston. He was an older man with kind eyes and a deep love for storytelling through music. During their first session together, he explained his vision, a composition inspired by overcoming adversity, something raw and emotional that would resonate with audiences worldwide. "I want your voice in this piece," Mr. Langston told her. "Your story, your struggles, they're part of the melody." Over the next few weeks, Maya worked closely with him, pouring her experiences into the music. Together, they crafted a powerful symphony titled Rising Tides. It began softly, almost hesitant, mimicking the uncertainty Maya had felt when she first arrived at St. Regis. Then it built steadily, layer upon layer, growing stronger and bolder until it reached a triumphant crescendo, a reflection of her journey toward self-acceptance and success. When the final draft was ready, Mr. Langston arranged for a special performance at a prestigious concert hall in the city. The event drew crowds from all walks of life: musicians, critics, fans, and curious onlookers alike. On the night of the performance, Maya stood backstage, her heart pounding. She glanced at Mr. Langston, who gave her a reassuring nod. "You've got this," he whispered. As the lights dimmed and the conductor raised his baton, Maya took her place at the piano. The opening notes rang out, delicate yet haunting. Slowly, the orchestra joined in, building momentum. By the time the climax hit, the entire hall vibrated with energy. Tears streamed down faces in the audience as they connected with the emotion behind the music. When the final note faded, there was a moment of silence before thunderous applause erupted. People cheered, clapped, and whistled, rising to their feet in a standing ovation. Maya felt overwhelmed with gratitude. For the first time, she realized her music wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to everyone who listened, everyone who found hope in its message. Afterward, reporters swarmed her asking for interviews. One journalist summed it up perfectly. "Maya isn't just a musician. She's a symbol of resilience. Her story reminds us that no matter where you start, you can rise above anything." Back at school, Maya's classmates rallied around her, celebrating her achievements. Even those who had initially mocked her now looked at her with admiration. Ethan, who had apologized months ago, approached her during lunch one day. "No," he said. "You've changed a lot of people here, including me. I used to think talent was something you were born with, but watching you, it showed me that hard work matters more." Maya smiled humbly. "We all have potential," she replied. "Sometimes we just need someone to believe in us." Her impact extended beyond the school walls. Local newspapers ran stories about how Maya had transformed the culture of inclusivity at St. Regis Academy. Parents of underprivileged students reached out, thanking her for inspiring their children to pursue their passions despite obstacles. Teachers incorporated her story into motivational talks, encouraging students to embrace challenges rather than shy away from them. Even the headmaster, Mr. Grayson, acknowledged the shift. During an assembly, he praised Maya for her contributions to the school. "Maya has shown us that greatness isn't defined by wealth or privilege," he declared. "It's defined by character, courage, and the ability to inspire others." Despite all the accolades, Maya remained grounded. She continued mentoring young musicians, performing at charity events, and advocating for equal opportunities in education. Her ultimate goal was simple: to ensure no child ever felt excluded because of their background. One evening, as she sat at the piano in her family's modest living room, Maya reflected on how far she'd come. She remembered the laughter, the mockery, the moments of doubt, and how each one had shaped her into the person she was today. Her hands hovered over the keys, ready to play, but instead of launching into a complex classical piece, she chose a simple melody, one she had taught herself years ago when times were tough. As the soft notes filled the air, she closed her eyes and smiled. No matter where life took her next, Maya knew one thing for certain. Music would always be her anchor, her voice her home. The months following Maya's collaboration with Mr. Langston marked a turning point in her life. Her name was now recognized not just locally but nationally. The symphony, Rising Tides, became a sensation, played on radio stations and performed by orchestras across the country. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece that captured the essence of resilience and hope. For Maya, however, the real reward wasn't fame or recognition. It was seeing how her story inspired others. Back at St. Regis Academy, the changes brought about by Maya's influence continued to ripple through the school. What had once been an environment of exclusivity and privilege began transforming into a space of inclusivity and opportunity. The mentorship program she helped establish flourished, attracting students from diverse backgrounds who were eager to learn and grow. Even parents started getting involved, volunteering their time or resources to support the initiative. One day during a mentoring session, Maya met a shy ninth grader named Marcus. He reminded her of herself when she first arrived at the school, quiet, unsure, and hesitant to speak up. When she asked him why he wanted to join the music program, he shrugged and muttered, "I don't know if I'm good enough." Maya leaned closer, her voice soft but firm. "Marcus, let me tell you something. Talent is important, but it's not everything. What matters most is your willingness to try. If you love music, that's all you need to start." Over the next few weeks, Maya worked closely with Marcus, teaching him basic techniques and encouraging him to practice regularly. Slowly but surely, his confidence grew. By the end of the semester, he performed a short piece at the school's annual talent show, earning applause from the entire audience. Afterward, he ran up to Maya, beaming with pride. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I never thought I could do something like this." Maya smiled warmly. "You did it yourself, Marcus. I just showed you the way." Moments like these reinforced Maya's belief in the power of mentorship. She knew firsthand how much difference a little encouragement could make. And as more students thrived under her guidance, the school community became stronger, more united. Despite her growing success, Maya faced new challenges. The pressure to excel kept mounting, and balancing academics, music, and personal life became increasingly difficult. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. One particularly tough evening, after hours of practicing for an upcoming competition, Maya collapsed onto her bed, tears streaming down her face. Her mother, hearing her sobs, came into the room and sat beside her. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" she asked gently. "I'm tired, Mom," Maya admitted, her voice breaking. "Everyone expects so much from me. What if I fail? What if I can't live up to their expectations?" Her mother wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Maya, listen. To me, you've already achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Don't let fear hold you back. Remember why you started playing music. To express yourself, to share your joy with the world. That's what truly matters." Those words resonated deeply with Maya. Over the next few days, she reminded herself of her purpose. Music wasn't about pleasing others. It was about connecting, healing, and inspiring. With renewed determination, she returned to her practice, routine, focusing less on perfection and more on passion. As the school year drew to a close, preparations began for the annual Spring Gala, a prestigious event where top students showcased their talents. This year, Maya was chosen to perform the opening act. It was both an honor and a responsibility, and she poured her heart into preparing for it. For her performance, Maya decided to compose an original piece titled Wings of Freedom. Drawing inspiration from her own journey, the composition told a story of struggle, growth, and triumph. It began with slow, somber notes, representing the doubts and hardships she had faced. Gradually, the melody brightened, symbolizing hope and resilience. By the end, the music soared, filled with joy and celebration. On the night of the gala, the auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, alumni, and even local dignitaries filled the seats, eager to witness the showcase. As Maya walked onto the stage wearing a simple yet elegant dress, the crowd erupted into applause. She took a deep breath, sat at the piano, and began to play. The opening notes hung delicately in the air, capturing everyone's attention. As the piece unfolded, the audience was transported on an emotional journey. Some closed their eyes, lost in the music. Others wiped away tears, moved by its depth and sincerity. When the final chord echoed through the hall, there was a moment of silence before the room exploded into cheers. People stood clapping wildly, calling out her name. Teachers hugged her backstage, congratulating her on a flawless performance. Even the headmaster approached her, shaking her hand firmly. "Maya," he said, his voice filled with admiration, "you've done something extraordinary tonight. Not only have you shown us your incredible talent, but you've also reminded us of the importance of perseverance and kindness. Thank you." The impact of Maya's performance extended far beyond the walls of St. Regis Academy. Videos of her playing Wings of Freedom went viral online, garnering millions of views within days. Comments flooded social media platforms, praising her skill and storytelling ability. Many viewers shared how her music had touched them personally, helping them find strength during difficult times. Among those comments was one from a young girl named Amina, who lived in a small town miles away.
"Hi, Maya," she wrote. "I've always loved music, but I never thought someone like me could succeed. Your story gives me hope. Thank you for showing me that dreams are possible." Reading Amina's message brought tears to Maya's eyes.
She realized that her journey wasn't just about personal achievement. It was about creating opportunities for others. Inspired by the response, Maya launched a campaign called Music Without Borders, aimed at providing free instruments and lessons to children in underserved communities. Donations poured in from supporters worldwide, allowing the initiative to expand rapidly. That summer, Maya traveled to several cities, performing at benefit concerts and workshops organized by Music Without Borders. At each stop, she met aspiring musicians whose stories mirrored her own. She listened to their struggles, offered advice, and encouraged them to keep believing in themselves. During one such visit, she encountered a boy named Jamal, who lived in a neighborhood plagued by poverty and violence. Despite his circumstances, Jamal had taught himself to play guitar using YouTube tutorials. When Maya heard him perform, she was blown away by his raw talent. "You're amazing," she told him after his set. "Have you ever thought about pursuing music professionally?" Jamal shook his head. "No one thinks kids from my neighborhood can make it big. They say we're destined to fail." Maya knelt down to meet his gaze. "Don't listen to them, Jamal. You create your own destiny. Look at me. I came from nothing, and here I am today. If you work hard and stay true to yourself, you can achieve anything." Her words ignited a spark in Jamal. From that day on, he practiced relentlessly, determined to follow in Maya's footsteps. By the time Maya returned to school in the Yomgiyim fall, her legacy had grown exponentially. She was no longer just a student or a musician. She was a leader, a role model, and a catalyst for change. Her actions had sparked a movement, proving that music could transcend barriers and unite people from all walks of life. As she sat at the piano one quiet afternoon reflecting on her journey, Maya felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had come so far, from being mocked for daring to touch a piano to standing on stages that once seemed unimaginable. But she knew her story wasn't over yet. There were still dreams to chase, lives to inspire, and melodies to create. With a smile, she placed her hands on the keys and began to play. The music flowed effortlessly, a testament to her unwavering spirit and boundless potential. Whatever lay ahead, Maya was ready to face it, with courage, with passion, and with the unshakable belief that anything was possible. As the new school year began, Maya found herself in a position she never imagined. A leader. Not just within her music program, but as someone who inspired change across communities. Her campaign, Music Without Borders, had grown into a nationwide movement, providing free instruments, lessons, and mentorship to children from underserved backgrounds. Thousands of kids were now learning to play music thanks to her efforts, but with this newfound role came challenges. Balancing academics, performances, and her growing responsibilities became increasingly difficult. Despite her best efforts, there were moments when exhaustion crept in. One afternoon, after spending hours organizing logistics for an upcoming benefit concert, Maya sat alone in the music room staring at the piano. The weight of everything she was juggling felt overwhelming. Her teacher, Mrs. Carter, noticed her fatigue and walked in quietly. "Maya," she said gently, "you've done incredible work, but don't forget to take care of yourself too." Maya sighed, rubbing her temples. "It's hard, Mrs. Carter. I want to do so much, help more kids, reach more schools, but sometimes it feels like I'm not doing enough." Mrs. Carter smiled warmly. "You're human, Maya, and being human means knowing your limits. You can't save the world overnight, but every child you touch, every life you change, that's progress, that's enough." Those words stayed with Maya. From then on, she reminded herself that even small steps mattered. She started prioritizing self-care, carving out time to rest and recharge. It wasn't easy, but it made a difference. With renewed energy, she dove back into her mission, determined to keep pushing forward. The highlight of the fall semester was the launch of a documentary about Maya's journey. Directed by a local filmmaker, the film chronicled her rise from a shy transfer student mocked for touching a piano to a celebrated musician inspiring thousands. Titled From Silence to Symphony, the documentary featured interviews with Maya, her family, teachers, and students whose lives she had impacted. When the documentary premiered at a community theater downtown, the turnout was overwhelming. Families, friends, classmates, and strangers filled the seats, eager to witness Maya's story unfold on screen. As the lights dimmed and the opening scene appeared, a young Maya practicing on her worn-out keyboard at home, the audience leaned forward, captivated. The film captured both the highs and lows of her journey, the laughter she endured, the late-night practice sessions, the triumphs on stage, and the countless hours spent mentoring others. When the final scene showed Maya performing Wings of Freedom at the Spring Gala, the entire theater erupted into applause. Afterward, during a Q&A session, a young girl stood up and asked, "Maya, how did you stay strong when people doubted you?" Maya paused, thinking carefully before answering. "I focused on what I loved, music. Whenever I felt discouraged, I reminded myself why I started playing in the first place. Passion kept me going. And when things got tough, I leaned on the people who believed in me, my family, my teachers, my friends. Surround yourself with good people and you'll find strength you didn't know you had." Her answer earned another round of applause. Many attendees approached her afterward, sharing how her story resonated with them. Some promised to support her initiatives. Others pledged to spread the message of inclusivity and perseverance. While Maya's influence continued to grow, she remained grounded, always remembering where she came from. During winter break, she returned to her old neighborhood, a place she hadn't visited in months. Walking through familiar streets brought back memories of her childhood. The cramped apartment where she practiced on her broken keyboard, the park where she dreamed of bigger things, and the community center where she first discovered her love for music. She decided to host a free workshop for local kids, inviting them to explore their musical talents. News of the event spread quickly, and dozens of children showed up eager to learn. Maya spent hours teaching them basic techniques, encouraging creativity, and sharing stories of her own struggles and successes. One boy, barely 10 years old, caught her attention. His name was Malik, and he reminded Maya of herself at that age, curious, passionate, but unsure if he belonged. After the workshop, he lingered behind, clutching a borrowed guitar. "Maya," he said hesitantly, "do you think I could ever be as good as you?" She knelt down to meet his gaze. Malik, listen to me. Talent is important, but it's not everything. What matters most is your willingness to try. If you love music and keep practicing, you'll surprise yourself. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough. Malik nodded, determination shining in his eyes. I won't give up, he promised. Moments like these reminded Maya why she kept fighting, for every child who needed someone to believe in them. Back at St. Regis Academy, Maya's presence continued to shape the culture of the school. The once exclusive music program was now a vibrant hub of diversity and collaboration. Students from all backgrounds worked together, supporting one another's growth. Even the snide remarks and cliques that had defined the school for years began fading away, replaced by mutual respect and teamwork. Ethan, the boy who had mocked Maya at the beginning of her journey, became one of her closest allies. He often helped organize events for Music Without Borders and encouraged other students to get involved. One day, as they prepared for a charity performance, Ethan turned to Maya and said, "You know, I used to think success was all about money and status, but watching you, it taught me that real success comes from making a difference." Maya smiled. We all have the power to make a difference, Ethan. Sometimes we just need to see it in action to believe it. As spring approached, Maya received an invitation that took her breath away. Carnegie Hall. A renowned conductor had heard about her work and invited her to perform alongside a world-famous orchestra. The opportunity was monumental, a dream come true. But instead of feeling intimidated, Maya embraced it with gratitude. On the night of the performance, the iconic hall was packed. Celebrities, musicians, critics, and fans filled the seats, buzzing with anticipation. As Maya stepped onto the stage, dressed in a flowing gown, the audience erupted into applause. She bowed humbly, then took her seat at the grand piano. Her piece, she chose a reimagined version of Rising Tides. The symphony, which had already touched millions, now carried even deeper meaning. As her fingers danced across the keys, the music swelled, filling the cavernous space with emotion. Tears glistened in the eyes of listeners as they connected with the story behind the notes. When the final chord faded, the silence that followed was profound. Then slowly the crowd rose to their feet, clapping and cheering wildly. People shouted her name, waved programs, and whistled in admiration. Maya stood, bowing deeply, overwhelmed by the response. Afterward, reporters swarmed backstage, eager to interview her. One journalist asked, "What's next for you, Maya? Where do you go from here?" Maya thought for a moment, then smiled. "Wherever the music takes me. My goal is simple: to keep inspiring others, to show them that no matter where they start, they can rise above anything. Music has given me a voice, and I want to use it to lift others up." That summer, Maya traveled internationally, performing at festivals and workshops around the world. In each country, she met young musicians whose stories mirrored her own. She listened to their struggles, shared her experiences, and encouraged them to pursue their dreams. By the end of her tour, Music Without Borders had expanded globally, reaching children in over 20 countries. Through it all, Maya remained humble, always remembering the girl who had once been mocked for daring to touch a piano. She knew her journey wasn't just about personal success, it was about creating opportunities for others, breaking barriers, and proving that talent knows no boundaries. As she reflected on how far she'd come, Maya realized something profound. Her story wasn't hers alone. It belonged to every child who dared to dream, every parent who sacrificed for their child's future, and every teacher who believed in their students' potential. With a heart full of gratitude and a mind brimming with ideas, Maya looked ahead, to the future. Whatever challenges lay before her, she was ready to face them with courage, with passion, and with the unshakable belief that music could change the world. Years passed, and Maya's journey evolved into something far greater than she had ever imagined. From being the girl who dared to touch a piano despite mockery, she became a global icon, a symbol of resilience, inclusivity, and the transformative power of music. Her name was now recognized worldwide, not just for her talent but for the lives she had touched along the way. By her early 20s, Maya had performed on nearly every continent, collaborated with legendary musicians, and composed pieces that resonated deeply with audiences. Yet no matter how far her career took her, she never forgot where it all began. Every concert, every workshop, and every speech carried echoes of her humble roots, the lessons she learned as a shy teenager mocked for daring to dream. One evening, after a sold-out performance in Paris, Maya stood backstage, holding a cup of tea and gazing out at the glittering city lights. A young journalist approached her, notebook in hand, eager to ask one final question before leaving. "What drives you, Maya?" he asked. "How do you stay grounded when your life is so extraordinary?" Maya smiled softly, thinking carefully before answering. "I remind myself of the people I'm doing this for," she said. "Every note I play, every initiative I start, it's not just for me. It's for the kids who feel like they don't belong, the ones who think their dreams are too big or impossible. If my story can give them hope, then everything I've been through has been worth it." Her words stayed with the journalist long after the interview ended, and they resonated even more strongly with Maya herself. She knew that her purpose wasn't just about personal success, it was about creating pathways for others to shine. Back home, Maya continued expanding Music Without Borders. What had started as a small campaign to provide instruments and lessons to underprivileged children had grown into a global movement. Schools across continents adopted its model, offering free music education to students regardless of their background. Thousands of kids, many of whom might have otherwise never discovered their musical talents, were now playing violins, guitars, pianos, and drums. But Maya didn't stop there. She launched a scholarship program called the Rising Tides Initiative, named after her famous symphony. The program identified promising young musicians from marginalized communities and provided them with full scholarships to prestigious music schools. Recipients weren't chosen solely based on talent. Maya insisted that passion and determination be considered equally important criteria. Among the first recipients was Malik, the boy from her old neighborhood who had once doubted his abilities. When Maya handed him the acceptance letter during a community event, tears streamed down his face. "This is because of you," he whispered, clutching the envelope tightly. "No," Maya replied firmly. "It's because of you. You worked hard, Malik. Never forget that." Watching him grow into a confident musician filled Maya with pride. Stories like Malik's reminded her why she kept pushing forward, why she refused to let fame or exhaustion slow her down. As Maya entered her late 20s, she decided to take on a new challenge, writing a memoir. Titled From Silence to Symphony, the book chronicled her journey in detail, from the laughter she endured at St. Regis Academy to the global stages she now commanded. But it wasn't just her story. It was also a tribute to the countless individuals who had supported her along the way. The memoir became an instant bestseller, praised for its honesty, vulnerability, and inspiring message. Readers from all walks of life connected with Maya's struggles and triumphs. Many shared how her words encouraged them to pursue their passions despite obstacles. Teachers incorporated excerpts into their lesson plans, using her story to inspire students to believe in themselves. During a book signing tour, Maya met a teenage girl named Amara, who waited hours in line to speak with her. When it was finally her turn, Amara handed Maya a folded piece of paper. "This is for you," she said shyly. Curious, Maya opened it and found a handwritten poem inside. It spoke of overcoming self-doubt, finding strength in adversity, and chasing dreams against all odds. At the bottom, Amara had written, "You showed me I could write my own symphony." Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she hugged the girl tightly. "Thank you, Amara," she whispered. "Keep writing. Your voice matters." Moments like these reaffirmed Maya's belief that art, whether music, poetry, or any other form, had the power to heal, connect, and transform lives. Despite her international acclaim, Maya made it a point to return to St. Regis Academy regularly. She visited classrooms, gave master classes, and even performed impromptu concerts in the same hall where her journey had begun. Each visit felt like coming home, a reminder of how far she and the school had come. On one such visit, she reunited with Ethan, who was now working as a teacher at the academy. Over coffee, they reminisculated about the past. "Remember that day you sat down at the piano and silenced everyone?" Ethan asked, laughing. "I still can't believe we were so stupid back then." Maya chuckled. "We all make mistakes, Ethan. What matters is learning from them and growing." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "You've changed a lot of lives here, Maya, including mine." Their friendship had blossomed over the years, built on mutual respect and shared experiences. Together, they organized events promoting diversity and inclusion within the school, ensuring that future generations wouldn't face the same barriers Maya once did. As Maya approached her 30s, she began envisioning her next chapter. While performing and mentoring remained central to her life, she yearned to leave behind a lasting legacy, one that would continue inspiring long after she was gone. With this goal in mind, she founded the Maya Foundation for Arts and Education, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering creativity and access to arts education worldwide. The foundation launched several initiatives, including mobile music labs that traveled to remote areas, partnerships with local governments to integrate arts programs into public schools, and annual festivals celebrating diverse artistic expressions. Through these efforts, Maya ensured that her impact would endure for generations to come. One of the foundation's flagship projects was the construction of a state-of-the-art music school in her hometown. Named Harmony Hall, the facility offered free classes, workshops, and resources to children of all backgrounds. On its opening day, Maya stood on stage, addressing a crowd of excited students, proud parents, and community leaders. "This place isn't just a building," she said, her voice steady yet emotional. "It's a promise that every child deserves a chance to explore their potential, no matter where they come from. Music gave me a voice when I felt voiceless. My hope is that it does the same for each of you." The audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. As Maya looked out at the sea of hopeful faces, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was her true masterpiece, not a symphony or a memoir, but a space where dreams could take flight. Decades later, Maya stood on the balcony of Harmony Hall, watching a group of children rehearse a song they had composed themselves. Their laughter echoed through the air, mingling with the melodies spilling from open windows. She smiled, feeling grateful for the life she had built, a life rooted in love, music, and service. Her journey hadn't been easy. There had been laughter, tears, doubts, and sacrifices. But through it all, she had remained steadfast, driven by a simple yet powerful belief that music could bridge divides, heal wounds, and ignite change. As the sun set, casting golden hues over the bustling streets below, Maya closed her eyes and listened to the distant strains of a piano. Somewhere a child was playing, perhaps nervously, perhaps boldly, but playing nonetheless. And in that moment, Maya knew her work was complete. She had turned judgment into joy, mockery into mastery, and dreams into reality, and her symphony would echo forever.